Okay, this is me being vulnerable. Please be gentle with me. This is hard, okay? Oh, Lord, have mercy. One thing that I've always said I'll value on this channel is transparency, vulnerability, and because I know this is something that is not often given to people, especially on social media. You look at people's lives, you see that they're having such a beautiful, strong relationship with God, but it's very rare that you see them explain or tell you that, look, I'm having a hard time. It's usually that they'll tell you after they've had the hard time and God has probably provided for them, then they'll go back and say, oh yeah, I did pray and I did maybe have a hard time when waiting in this one, and God gave me this, and then here we are. But I wanted to share something with you guys just because it might be something that will encourage someone. I don't know. So for the past few months, it's been really hard. So just a little bit of a backstory for those of you that watched my previous videos. There's a video that I had shared, I'll put it in the description box, talking about my HIV status and basically where I am, or my relationship, what happened, and how God taught me to walk away from that. And I'd been getting a lot of questions regarding, you know, what happened to the guy, what's going on with you now. So I figured I would answer those questions in this video, just based because it's related to what I've been going through. In the last video that I had shared, the first video regarding my HIV status, I had mentioned that I was dating someone and then I got engaged to this person, and then God told me to walk away because he was not the right person for me based off of faith. We had different beliefs, and God made himself clear. God has never been as clear as he was that day to me that, girl, you better walk away. Not because the person was bad, and I'll always emphasize this, there's nothing wrong with that man. He's the most kind person I'd ever met, and that would always remain. That's not something I'll ever go back and, you know, change in terms of how I view him. So I walked away from that relationship, and as far as my communication with him, right now we don't communicate or anything like that, but there's neither any hard feelings on both our parts as far as I know, because we're both Christians, and I believe we are cordial in the context of social media kind of thing. But anyway, so since I walked away from that relationship, it had always felt like I was holding my breath, like any minute now is right around the corner. God is just going to bring him up, you know, the right person. And, you know, for me, it's not really the idea of being married that I'm in love with. It's really also just the concept of being able to know somebody and to experience what God says a home should be, that is a foretaste of heaven. So for me, I've always had that desire to be able to experience having a home where, you know, it feels a little bit of what heaven would feel like, because that is what it's supposed to be. And I've always been fascinated by it. Like, Lord, you mean to say that families are supposed to be so happy that, you know, you get a sense that, okay, this is the union, the fellowship, just a little bit as to how it will happen in heaven. And I've always wanted that for myself, and I've always wanted that mostly also because I think my mom and my dad, my birth father, they divorced when I was really young. So I think I've always strived to be able to see what that picture of just being able to have, you know, you get what I'm saying. So after I'd ended things with Joe, everything was fine. I was waiting on God. I was trusting him. And a month and a half after I had ended the relationship, my mom died. I do not want to cry in this video. So if you see me take long breaths or pauses, just bear with me. A month and a half after I had ended the engagement to Joe, my mom died. and I felt, if I'm to be totally honest, tricked. I felt like, is this a joke? You know, like, Lord, you asked me to give up somebody who was literally someone who I considered a best friend, and now you've taken my mom, somebody who I've known my entire life, who, you know what it's like losing a parent, for those of you that have lost a parent. And I wish I could say I was mad at God, but surprisingly I wasn't. I just felt like, you know, I had a moment whereby I felt like God was like, you know, I'd gone through a phase whereby I felt like, you know, this is not okay. There's nothing okay about this. But at the same time, I feel like by God's grace, He had emotionally, spiritually, mentally prepared me to the context whereby I was able to look at it not long after that as a situation whereby, you know, I'm making a stand for Him, and, you know, the devil will throw at you whatever he wants in order to deter you, because that was not an easy situation or place to be in. But thank God we moved on from that situation. I was going through the healing when it comes to grief and whatnot. And at the same time, you know, I'm hoping and praying that God will somehow make me bump into this person who's supposed to be my husband and the person He wants me to be with. And 1 year passed, another year passed, nothing was happening. And my friends and I, a group of ladies and I, we decided to come together to just be praying and fasting 3 days every month. And these were also a group of single ladies. We did not come with the intent that we're praying for a husband, but we just came because we were just really seeking for a closer walk with God and everything like that. And it so happened that, you know, with my best friend, at that time, we were like, you know, we need to pray for the person that we end up with, that God will bring him to us, and etc., that God will give us a husband. So we started praying about it, and June came, July, August, September, October, November. Oh Lord, nothing happened. Now, I will be honest to say that, you know, in those situations, there was somebody that, you know, I was like, is this maybe the right person? Because, you know, I don't want to be fake and say that I waited and my eyes were shut. I did not see anybody. No, I did see somebody. So in the process of seeing somebody, sorry, I'm just really animated sometimes and I'm nervous. So if I come out animated, just forgive me. So I did notice somebody, and I wasn't sure if that person was the right one. So, and they were not they're not around the place I lived. So I decided to go to the person who knows them the best, which was God. So I'd pray about it, and God ended up revealing that they were not the right person for me. And at that time, you know, as women, it's kind of hard for women to, in a way, not become emotionally attached to somebody. So as much as that person was not my boyfriend or anything, but emotionally I was like already getting a little attached, because I would talk to this person, I would try to get to know them. And of course I was like, oh God, but you know, He gave me a good reason as to why that person was not the one for me. So we moved away from that. And then we came, I was praying about it still, you know, I'm believing God, I'm fasting with my friends. And, you know, beginning of this year, I had actually met somebody that I thought was the right person for me, or was the person for me, just based off of, I think, the events that led to my meeting them. But, you know, at the end of the day, I realized, you know, that could have been a one-sided situation, but that did not make it hurt any less, you know, when I did end up realizing that, okay, it's not like that at all. But I think when I mentioned that I really had a hard year, it's because at that point I felt like I was upset, and I was more upset with God, because I was telling God, like, you know, I trusted you that you would protect me, you would protect my heart. Why am I just either, you know, getting hurt one or another, or I'm just waiting for so long? And, you know, I have friends, some who I've babysat, that are getting married now, and I'm just here. And God helped me also to realize during this waiting process that I had actually not fully understood the just how big a decision marriage is. You know, he helped me go through lessons, which I'm still going through. Like, there's this, it's about 21, it's a 21 series. It's about courtship and relationships, and the things I've been learning there regarding the purpose of marriage, why people should even consider marriage these days, and that should be really for God's work, for ministry and all that. It helped me see just where I was coming from with the whole Lord, I want a man kind of thing. It was really for selfish reasons and not technically to glorify God. But besides the point, I still was angry with him. I was telling God, like, you know, I've been waiting for like 5 years. What makes it worse sometimes for me is that I tend to associate that a lot with just my status, that okay, probably the reason I'm not married yet is because of my status, and you know, that kind of turns people away, and you know, etc., etc. So it kind of brings me to this point whereby I'm beating myself down, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I'm not here to spread misery, but this is just to answer a lot of you guys' question in regards to where I am as a person after that whole situation happened. But I can honestly say that God has been moving in my life in a lot of ways, and that has been what has been keeping me and holding me to be firm in the faith. And there's I believe it's a verse I say, it's a song that I believe that says that I'm only standing as a Christian because of God's hold on me. I can testify that to this year. The only reason I'm even able to come back right now to even share a video and share it as a Christian is because it's God holding me. Give me a second. I'm not crying. Oof. Lord have mercy. Because I can honestly tell you guys, like, the only reason that I am still standing here today as a Christian this year is because of God. I did not think that I was going to be able to get out of this dark cloud that I'm gonna change my sitting position. Maybe I will not cry. For me, I feel like when it comes to really trusting God to be able to help me have a healthy relationship with the opposite sex, because for me that's where I've always hurt. I don't know, we all have different areas in which we hurt, but I think for me that's where I have always hurt. Okay, I'm not crying, you're crying. These are happy tears, people, okay? Like I was saying, we all have different areas in which we have hurt. For me, I think it's always been my relationship with the opposite sex, because I have found myself in situations I shouldn't have been in. So that is an area which I feel like, you know, God knows I need a lot of work in, I need a lot of healing in. And healing isn't fun, but it's something that I'm working towards, and it has a lot to do with probably forgiving myself and recognizing God's worth that He has given me as His child, not just the value that, you know, the earth has placed upon me, you know, because I'll share this because it's something that was silly when somebody told me, but it's something that you would think, oh, you should know this, but no, I didn't. Okay. Had to take a minute there. Yeah, so my sister told me this thing the other day, and that was, you are the total package, you are worth chasing after. And I was like, I am? She's like, yeah. And that was the nicest thing anybody has ever said to me. And I didn't even know that I was. And I know this may sound pathetic to most of you, but for me, self-esteem is something that I struggle with. And it doesn't make sense because I'm a Christian, so I should know that my worth doesn't really come in what I do in terms of my career or how I look like. It really just comes from God. And that is a work in progress. Like, that is where I think God is really trying to help me understand. And the other day I was also listening to this sermon, and it was just like, it's time to go back to I guess how God wants things to be done. And part of it was, recognizing that, in most of the situations where I have been hurt, I had my hand in the situation. I was trying to help God. I was trying to manipulate events to suit me. And I had to tell God, like, the other day, like, Lord, I'm honestly stepping away from the situation. Like, you handle it, because I know that there's a lot of advice that tells young girls, like, oh, the right man is not going to just come at your door, or it's not going to just show up in your room. You need to do something. And I took that advice and I ran with it. I was like, yeah, he's not going to just show up in my room. I need to be out there. And I was like, Lord, that has backfired and backfired, and I was like, I'm done trying to do that. I am done. And one thing I had to also just be able to surrender is that, and to remember, God really just, helped me understand, like, this is not a burden I created for you to bear. Seeking a spouse is not something that I created for you to bear. It's a burden that's supposed to be with a guide. The right guy, if he comes, I'll put the burden in his heart to go after you, not vice versa. And I realized how much I had also carried that weight on me and that burden in situations in the past where I felt like I had to do something. And worse even still, I felt like because I'm HIV positive, I need to go sometimes above and beyond to show or prove to the person that, yes, I am worth it. I'm worth pursuing. I'm worth chasing, despite this, which seems like a handicap right now, but it'll be worth it. That's the mindset I had, and that is actually very dangerous. And it was something that really just ended up affecting how I see myself as a Christian and as a woman, to the point whereby when I did go through a situation whereby I was hurt, it really just literally destroyed my mental, not literally destroyed it, but it really affected my mental health and my spiritual state of being, because I started questioning God. I started having this, self-depreciating thoughts of, maybe I'm just really not worth it. Maybe I'm not good enough for this or good enough for that. And I wish I could come here and just explain how wonderful it is. But the reality is, those are things that God is helping me work on. It's a work in progress. It's easy for me to deal with other things. And God has given me that grace and ability to deal with things like work, to deal with things like, how I navigated certain things. But when it comes to this aspect of my life, somehow I've noticed that it's something that, when it comes to my relationship with the opposite sex, not just with men, I think starting with the issue of, just friendships to maybe parental figures, it's something that I need to work on, and that God is helping me realize how it should be, because I've always had a distorted picture as to how things should be. So I was in a sermon this morning, and and I was of course they were asking for any prayer requests. I gave in my prayer requests. There was one silent petition, and then there was another where I was just praying for a close relationship with God. And I was like, Lord, I don't have to keep praying about this. It's not something that I want to do, but God just brought this song in my heart, so I'm gonna sing it despite how horrible my voice is. You have to endure it and just appreciate the message. And so I guess at the end of the day, I didn't come here to vent. I was just trying to answer a few questions in regards to where I am, just to let you guys know that no, it's not all rainbows and roses. I do have periods whereby my relationship with God, is hurting because of things that, I'm struggling with. Waiting is not easy. But I think one thing also God wanted me to understand, it's a verse in Daniel. I'll put it somewhere here, but it says there's nobody in heaven or on earth that can stay God's hand or tell him, what are you doing? And that was really just in the context of God helping me realize that, even if you're HIV positive, even if, the whole world is like, no, telling a guy like, don't go to her, there is nobody. If it is my will for you to be with that person, if it is my will, there is nobody that will put a stop to it, as long as it is my will. There's nobody that will stop my hand or question whether it's really the best thing to do if I'm the one moving the events. And for me, I was like, Lord, I feel like I do not have a living experience with you where this is concerned, to really understand the gravity of what it means to know that, if you say that, there's this one that says that if Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. For me to really understand that if you say yes, you are going to be with this person, despite, how the world may look at you, or how worthless they might think you are, or just how undeserving of a good man you are, you will still have that. And I asked God to just help me understand the gravity of what that verse means, because I feel like there's some verses we repeat and we say, but we have not actually had a living experience with those verses. And for me, I was like, Lord, I know that I usually say that if you're in control, no one is going to do A, B, C, D, and that comes to matters. And I believe that when it comes to issues of my career, of my this, of my that, because I have seen you do that. I have seen you move. I have seen you give me jobs and positions that I was not qualified for. But where this is concerned, Lord, I don't know if I do believe it to the extent you want me to believe it. I don't know if I believe that there's going to be a good man somewhere, and who will be probably too good for me, as the world would even consider, like, you're really getting married to her? Like, you could have done better, whereby the world will probably have those opinions of the situation, and the guy won't be moved or swayed because you have already put it in his heart, and you will not let anything deter that from happening. And I was like, Lord, I trust you in a lot of areas of my life, but I need you to help me trust you in this. I need you to help me trust that you will actually work things out, and help me to have that living experience, the one that you wanted Jacob to have. That way he didn't even at the end of the day have to steal or cheat or lie to get the birthright from his brother. He would have probably just had that faith that because it was his by promise and you're the one who promised it to him, he would have had it no matter what. Or no matter who would have stood in his way, be it his father who favored his brother more than he favored him, it wouldn't matter to him. So yeah, So this is basically the good and the ugly of my dealing with HIV, and because it usually always comes back to that thought process for me and how I have been since coping with the last relationship I had, which was 5 years ago. It's not always like this. Sometimes you find me could like, girl, who needs a man? But for the most part, it's usually, I don't want to wait anymore. Yeah, God is definitely like cutting and refining. There is, to end this, there is this analogy of, if you remember when Solomon was building the temple, God specifically said that for every piece of stone you bring to the place where the temple will be laid out, right? I don't want you to chop or to cut any stone here. I don't want all that noise. I don't want to hear the noise. I want you to go prepare the stones somewhere, wherever it is you have to prepare them, do the cutting, the refining and all that, and then bring the stones, lay them upon another, but without any noise. So my stepsister, the same one who was telling me that I am a catch, she's the one who gave me this analogy that, you know, it's the same thing with relationships and marriages and families. Where we are when we're single as Christian women or men, God is refining us. He's shaping us into that right stone. And when he takes us and places us in his temple together with or next to the person we're supposed to be with, he doesn't want any noise. He just wants this home that is just going to be a reflection of him. The way he had set out instructions for building his temple is, we can learn a lot of that, a lot from how we can build our homes, our happy homes. And she just basically shared with me how that also usually can be translated to how God, you know, wants peace. He wants people to actually be fitted and molded together or to fit each other. Because if I'm here and I have cracks and I have holes and gaps and whatnot in my stone, and my partner is all shaped and ready for me, that's gonna be a problem. So, you know, just take the time that you are at as a single Christian woman, remembering that God is just, you know, smoothing out those rough edges so that when you get with your man, you don't have noise in the home. You don't have people shouting just because nobody wants to lay aside their pride and just get the problem fixed. You know, it's not like, yeah, anyway. So to end off, I'd like to sing this song. You may be down and feel like God has somehow forgotten that you are faced with circumstances you can't get through. And right now it seems like there's no way out and you're going under. But God's proven time and time again, he'll fix it for you, and he'll do it again. He'll do it again. You just take a look at where you are now and where you've been. Well, hasn't he always come through for you? He's the same now as then. Oh, you may not know how, you may not know when, but he'll do it again. My God knows the things that you're going through, and he knows how you're hurting. You see, he knows just how your heart has been broken in two. but he's the God of the stars and the sun and the seas, and he is your Father. He can calm the storm, and he'll find a way to fix it for you, and he'll do it again. Oh, he'll do it again. Oh, you just take a look at where you are now and where you've been. Well, hasn't he always come through for you? He is the same now as then. You may not know how, you may not know when, but he'll do it again. Alright guys, thank you for watching and bearing with me. I know it's probably going to be a long video, but thank you from Given to Give Ministries. Be blessed and know that you're worth it and you are worth chasing. Alright, bye. Oh, and if you're a guy, you are worth chasing the girl. Yeah, okay.